Hello and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. You join me tonight for another Tabletop Gaming Live, and this evening we'll be playing the 1 to 3 player board game 1941 Race to Moscow from Phalanx Games. If you're brand new to the channel, click the heart to follow the live Twitch stream weeknights Monday, Wednesday and Friday from 7 o'clock PM. Also, be sure to subscribe and tap the bell icon to receive notifications from YouTube for the latest videos and updates. And now, on with the show. In 1941 Race to Moscow, players take the roles of chiefs of staff or quartermasters of 3 massive army groups formed together from close to 200 divisions which aim at the centres of the Soviet Union, Moscow, Leningrad and Rostov. The campaign itself was planned to be a swift and daring, with a goal to reach the objective before winter comes. In reality, after the final push, Operation Typhoon, the invading troops reached the vicinity of Moscow and looked through binoculars at the Kremlin spires on one frosty December morning. And then the Soviet counteroffensive started. Your job will be to keep the logistics chain working, to make sure the speed of Blitzkrieg is kept at its highest level and the goals are reached in time. That means you'll have to supply fuel to the tanks, ammo to the guns, and food to the troops and fodder to the horses. So tonight we have another advanced preview from a Kickstarter. So I'm very excited to bring this to the table. Opportunity to show you guys what this game is all about. I've been doing quite a lot of reading on it. So hopefully I've got all the rules clearly in mind, but we will see. So here we go. We have the game set out in front of us. It's important to note that everything that you'll see in the game tonight is all prototype, it's all placeholder. Obviously the Kickstarter is live now at the time of recording. I found this game quite fascinating because there are so many war games out there. We have a fascination, don't we, with war. We enjoy to play it. I'm sure none of us would like to be part of it. But this game, as much as there is combat, it is not the focus of the game. This is essentially a transportation logistics management game. What we're trying to do is maintain a supply chain from our operational base to be able to fuel our tanks, supply our armies and tanks with ammunition, feed our troops. And I believe historically this was a bit of a nightmare for the invading German forces at the time. So it'll be an interesting how I will manage to do this or not. Because nobody said I was a good quartermaster. So let's give it a go and hopefully I get everything right. I've got my rules next to me here so that I can refer to them, because I think I'll be doing that for a fair bit of the game. Hello, is that Brachia Backup? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for dropping by. I'll concentrate on the rules, you concentrate on the logistics. How does that sound? We're good to go. All right. So the special cards from the German High Command, what have we got? Let's take a look. So this looks like artillery support. So if we use this card, when we go on in to attack a town, we'll have to use 1 less ammunition because of the artillery that's coming on in. This allows us to use air support even if we've already used it, because air support is a one-time use, so we get a second go at it. And this allows you to cancel the partisans card should that come up. In order to take advantage of them, we have to send our staff car to HQ. So that's our marker once we're ready for that. We've got our air support card waiting for us. You got 2 actions. What are you gonna do? You tell me what you want me to do, I will then just do it, and we'll just double check the rules as we go along. So you think you should go up through the middle to make supply easier. All right. So who do you want to move then? Do you want to go on the offensive right from the start? You can either move the 9th Army or the 2nd Panzer Division. You could move this 3rd Panzer Division. And if you were able to take this counter and this one here, you could cut off these two. So in fact, that's where I went wrong. I should have moved these guys first. Shouldn't even bothered trying to attack Brest. Yeah, you think so? All right. So before we move, you could use air support to check out what army is there and make it easier to attack. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to save air support for later? Knowing that you could go to high command and get the air support back again if you felt it was necessary. You're going to save it, so we're just going to go in there and face what we get. All right, so it's going to cost 1 fuel to move, but that is now for up to 3 spaces. So we draw up the 1st Soviet card. We are up against the 27th Army. It's costing us 2 ammo. So 2 ammo has been spent. Token is taken. We have our marker in there. We can then move again because we can move up to 3. So where do you want to go now? Do you want to keep pushing forward? It is the Blitzkrieg. But remember, you've only now got 1 ammunition. If you wanted to take this, you're chancing it with only 1 ammo because we don't know who we're up against. Saying that, we could have really good luck and there's nothing against us. See, this really is where it's hardcore strategy. If there's no dice roll to help us here, are we going to use our air support to find out who we're up against, or are we going to go in blind? If we go in blind, potentially we could be defeated. Use the air support. All right. So air support is gone. Yeah, okay. We are going to be facing... Ugh, typical. Move 1 medal token onto another double-coloured objective city. So this would have not affected us whatsoever. Unfortunately, yes, we have wasted that air support. So we can move on in. We instantly put our token down. And we're moving a medal. Move 1 medal from another double-coloured city objective. Some of these areas can be gone into by 2 colours. So we could effectively move, say, that medal into there, and that would make that objective really, really lucrative to either the white player or the brown player. So if we were playing with other players, we might want to do that purposely for us to get those free medals, which of course means we're closer to victory. All right, so we still have one movement with this tank. Do we want to chance it? Do we want to move up further still? Or are we happy with where they've gone? Hold position. Okay, so that is the 1st activation. What do you want to do for your 2nd activation? What can we do? All right, what can we do? We don't get to flip these discs until the end. But what we do have is we have a train line between our supply base to here. We have train line here, and we have train line here. We could effectively start shunting some of these supplies up into the next towns. So we could do that. We could lay down train, and then in the next turn actually start moving this stock upwards. We could grab more resources from the central reserve. We can take up to 6. What have we got here? That's 4, 6. We've got 6 resources in the central reserve. We can put them into our forward supply base. Let's get the resources. All right. Well, we might as well take all 6, hadn't we? that is our 2 actions. So automatically we have cut off these 2 Soviet counters. So they both go. And we take out 2 Soviet cards. So we can flip a token. So we've got 2 tokens on the board. Which one do you want to flip to go into train? Do you want middle or right? I would imagine that middle might be the better option, but you're in command. Middle seems best, alright. So that becomes train. We then put down the Soviet token. It can't go here because we are directly blocking it. So it's got to go up at the top. So there we go. So we then start the round again. You've got 2 actions. So this is now where, now this panzer group has 2 fuel, 1 ammo. That's it. You've got this panzer group here who's got 3 fuel, 3 ammo. You've got your armies. Remember, your armies can move 1 space, but both armies moving up for 1. So you want to move the troops on the left up straight. So are you saying to this area here? Just straight up? Yes, all right. They've moved there. You can move this army up as well within this same activation. So let's move them up there. These guys have got 2 fuel, 1 ammo. So they might be up against something a little bit tougher for them there. The 2nd Panzer Division have got 3 fuel and 3 ammo. Well, all they need to spend is 1 fuel, 1, 2, 3, and they can get up to there no problem. So then they would have 2 fuel and 3 ammo remaining. Put them in a better position to take on whatever might be there. The one at the bottom, yes, there we go. All right, so we spend the fuel and he goes 1, 2, 3. He gets to there. He's up against the 16th Army. Costs 1 ammunition. Spends the ammo. We get the token. All right, excellent. And now, because you've taken that, this Soviet token is now encircled. So that then goes. Gosh, you're doing so much better than I was. All right. So now we've got to choose which of the tokens to flip for the train. Are we staying with pushing forward from the middle? Balisok, yeah. Okay. That one's turned over. We then place down the Soviet marker. So it's definitely up at the top here now. Back over to you. You got 2 activations. So you have your 2 armies. This Panzer Division has 2 fuel, 1 ammo. This one has 2 fuel, 2 ammo. And yes, we could put trains down. 1, 2, 3 trains would take us up to the north. You have 3 trains in stock at the moment. You can requisition an additional 4 trains, but that would be your maximum. You can put down a maximum of 3 trains or trucks in one go. And at this stage of the game, you can only have out on the map 9 trains or trucks. For the final push, we go into phase 2, and we'll tackle that when we come to it. Trains can carry 6 resources, whereas trucks can only carry 4. So we're going to move both troops up 1 each. So both in the same activation, they both move up there. You could make them move further by spending a food, make them force march. So you're going to move the big tank up 1. So he can move, yep, he's got enough ammo. He can move up 1. There's his 1. He is going into, so in fact, this gives us an extra activation. These are the Axis Italia. We can put that in there. We can do one more thing. how about moving the armies again? They've got all these resources with them. So again, we don't have to force march them. We can just move them again. Yeah, all right. So move again. So how about, well, they could both join here, which is going to be a reserve area. They could actually end up, if they both came here, they could refuel and rearm this panzer division. Well, how about then, because there's no rules to say you can't have both of them here. So that's the two movements, and they can now fully restock from their supply. We take ammo here, and there we go. This panzer unit now is fully armed and fully fueled. Yes, we're really using our troops now to help things along. Okay, so that would be the end of the go. I think it makes sense then, doesn't it, that this gets flipped as the train icon. We then put down the Soviet marker. All right, what do you want to move forward now? This unit here has 1 fuel, 2 ammo. This unit, the Panzer Group 3, has 3 ammo, 3 fuel. The 9th Army has 2 ammo, 1 fuel. And the 4th Army has 2 ammo. So there's a possibility you could move one of the armies up to refuel this tank, or you could just move this division straight up. You've actually got quite a few options to go here. So you want to move the 4th Army straight up and the other to refuel the tank. So 4th Army, the hexagon. Oh, so you want to move these up into combat. Okay. And the circle is going to refuel this tank. So they've moved there. So they can give that and give extra ammo. All right. But these now have to face off against whomever is there. And it's requisitions. We've obviously gone into this this town and basically got ourselves additional food, which is really good. So we get to have bonus food. So that worked out quite favorably. We have a token and we get a medal because we are in the in Minsk. But that was only one activation. So what do you want to do next? Is this where we lay down the trains? But again, we're in a similar situation. We've taken Minsk, but we haven't taken the train yards. So we can only go up to Novogrudek. Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, it is only 3 trains that we can put down. So 1, 2, and 3. So there we go. We have our trains down. That's the end of the turn. I suppose, do we flip this town to become the next link in the chain? Yeah. I think it makes sense, doesn't it? We're just going to keep pushing in the central column here. We then put down another Soviet token so that you know there are only 3 Soviet tokens left. Remember, once the last token is played, that's the end of the game within that turn. So you need to push forward really fast now. You've got to take out some of these tokens. So what I'm thinking is let's bring the board down so that you can actually see the objective in sight. But don't forget your supply base down at the bottom here, because you've got so much supplies, but you need to get them up to the front line. Okay, what do you want to do? Now remember, you've got all those resources back in Warsaw. You might want to move them up. Your 3rd Panzer Group is fully stocked, and your 2nd Panzer Group is fully stocked. There's only 3 Soviet tokens left, so you really need to make some ground here. So you're going to move resources first and then move the small tank up. Okay. You can travel 6 resources. So what combination do you want? You've got plenty fuel, plenty ammunition, plenty food. You tell me. Total of 6 is all going to get moved up to Novogrudek 2 of each. All right, that is your first action. Your second action, you were saying move the small tank up. So it would cost 1 fuel. He can move into there, not a problem. Whoops. Hey. Come back here. There we go. He's moved in. Where does he want to go now? Because he can go straight up. He can come off to the right. He can go to the left. No point going to the left. So it's straight up or right. Up. Okay. He's going into there. We draw a card. We've captured supplies. We've captured fuel resources. Fantastic. It cost us a fuel, but we've gained a fuel. Must be siphoning them off tractors and cars in the local town. So we are there. That was the first move. We can make a second move. Are we still ploughing forward? I feel good about this. I think we can do this. Onward, he says. Onward. All right. We move forward. It's still part of the same fuel. So next card. Soviet bombers. Oh no. So we are under an air assault. Let me just double check this. The Soviet bombers would halt our movement. Remember, we've got 1 extra movement that we can do. If we want to carry on moving, it's going to cost us another fuel, or we just stop where we are. And he has free fuel, so we could afford to do so. He could keep going. We could get him all the way up to Smolensk. Will we lose if we don't move? There are only 3 tokens left. So we won't be taking a token, and there'll only be 2 left. So essentially there's just 2 rounds to go. It's a lovely mechanic. It forces you to have to move forward, but sometimes you might not be ready to move forward. And this is now the dilemma you've got. There's no pressure here and now, but there'll be pressure very quickly, very soon. Yeah. We halt. All right. Excellent. Right then. So you can flip a counter. I think it makes sense that we're continuing to flip the middle counters, aren't we? So that one is flipped there. The Soviets, where are they going to place a token? I think they'll place it just here. All right. So back over to you in the commander's chair. What do you want to do? Both of your panzer units are fully armed, fully fueled. The troops could move 1, so they could both come up to here. The troops are not carrying that much now. Well, one of them is. One of them's carrying ammo and food. The other's just carrying food. Tanks can't do anything with food. It's only for the troops. We've got all these resources here. They need to be moved up. Oh, that's something I forgot to mention, which just suddenly might alter our strategy a little bit. Once you've created a line, we've moved all these resources up to this point via that line. We can't move more resources up by that same line because effectively it counts as 1 railway track. It's not free flowing. It's only moving in 1 direction. It's only when we do the theatre reorganisation that we can take these trains away and then replay them down and then bring materials up. So these resources down in Warsaw are basically isolated here until we start the second stage of the offensive. So these are the only resources you've got to play with in addition to what your troops are carrying. That's something I should have remembered earlier. But it's not made much of a difference because it's still, at some point we're going to have to move on to doing the reorganisation, so that's fine. When we do a theatre reorganisation, every army has got to spend 1 food or it's halted. So our infantry are fine. Our infantry are carrying quite a lot of food, but our tanks don't have any food. And so you have to get food up to the tank for it not to be halted. So that's something to consider before we trigger that event, but both of your tanks at this moment in time have got no space for any food. So we need them to go into combat, free up some space, and then trigger it. So we're still in a good position, and there's still plenty of food on the board. So actually, we should be okay. Let's move the bigger tank then. All right. So big tank, 1 fuel. He can go 1, 2, 3. Now, here we go. We could be real clever about this. If we move the tank here, he could take a food from this army group and put it into the space where he has just used. And in fact, if we were really clever about it, why doesn't he give the army group some ammunition and take another food up for the other tank? He's moving up anyway, so let's make him work for us, yeah? So drop an ammo to take another food, and he goes 2, 3. So everybody's got food. So that is his turn then, isn't it? Okay, so you've got 1 more activation. You could move the small tank up now. I think we might be okay here. I feel like you need to go into combat though with the small tank. Move the small tank for an encirclement. Are you suggesting that it goes up to here and then into here? And then we can encircle this town there? Yeah? Alright. So first of all, it's going to cost a fuel to move. He's moving up 1. We're up against this Soviet. What have we got? We got the 11th Army. It's going to cost 2 ammo. So he uses his 2 ammo. He's taken that. You get an Iron Cross. Congratulations. He now has only 1 ammo coming into this. Are you going to chance it? You don't know who you're up against. At least you know it's not going to be the hardened Soviet army. You might be lucky. Go for it, he says. All right, here we go. Moving on in. And the card is a US ultimatum against Japan. So it's a little piece of news. So you've managed to take that town or city relatively easy. And I think that brings you to a sort of natural end there, doesn't it? All right, so here's a bit of an interesting thing. Ordinarily, we would place a disc on the map somewhere, but within the rules of disc placement, there's nowhere for us to place a disc. So now what happens is this disc gets discarded. So the countdown clock is still ticking. There are 3 turns remaining. But of course, you can boost the clock up by taking out those other discs. All right, but you're so close now. So close. But this tank only has 2 fuel, 1 ammo. It's not going to be very effective against the Soviet army that is entrenched as we move towards Moscow. What do you want to do now? Add more trains, he says. All right. First of all, we would have to collect trains. So we can take 4 trains from the stock. That would be 1 activation. It would then be a second activation to place those trains down on the board. You can effectively lay down 1 train because that's the maximum amount of transportation resources you can have. If you wanted to get more trains, then we trigger the theatre reorganization. So let me just go through that with you. So our marker on the logistics track goes up to level 2. And what this means is that we can take transportation up to 6. We can put down in any given turn 4. And we can have a maximum of 12. And that would be the 12 that we would need to get all the way up to Moscow. Each army on the board immediately must use 1 food. If it is impossible, then the army is grounded and cannot be moved until it receives food supply. So how are we for that situation? Our little tank does not have any food. I am going to... We can move armies. So I'm going to move this army 1. so that he can pick up, and then this army can move up there. So that's one activation. I guess then for the second activation, it will move the armies again. So one moving up here, one moving there. So that means we lose a Soviet token. That gets flipped. Next turn. Okay, panzers are moving. He's spending 1 fuel to move 1 into there, 2 into here, up against the Soviet force. Oh my goodness, it's the first mech corps, so it's going to cost 1 fuel and 3 ammo. He can't do it, so he's going to have to use the free ammo, and he gets pushed back. I've lost all my resources. So what could happen now is the armies could move up. They can move to there, they can move to here. Hexagonal army can give that tank all the ammo. So now I'm going to trigger the theatre reorganisation. We go to level 2. Every army has got to use up our food, otherwise they are halted. These all you have their food, but this tank is halted. He's not going anywhere at this moment in time. All the trains get placed back into stock. Soviet marker goes, literally got 1 marker left. Got to go into combat, got to engage somebody. I've got no fuel. I'm going to push my army to move 2, 1, 2 to get up to there. It's going to cost them a food. Get the army there. The army can give the heavy tank 2 fuel. So the hexagonal army can move here, carrying the ammo. The ammo can be given to the small tank, but the small tank still needs food. But the big tank is going to move forward. Panzer Group 2. They're going to take this. They've got to take it. Moving forward, costs them a fuel. Up against Soviet army of the 3rd army. Costs 2 ammo. Excellent. They spend the 2 ammo. We get a little bit of breathing room. Goes in there. There we go. All right. End of the turn. They will flip that one just there. I'm just 2 objectives away from Moscow. I've only got 2 tokens left. I need to get resources all the way up. So first of all, draw transport. I can draw 8 trains. I can lay down 4 trains. Oh, that's not enough. We need to get these resources up to the front line. We get all of those up to Minsk. End of my turn. I can flip the disc. We can't put down a Soviet token, so it goes. My turn again. This army is going to move 1. He's going to pick up the food, and then for my second activation, this army is going to move right back here to take the food to that tank, instantly taking away this halt. This is now the final round, and it's all down to this Panzer Group 3. It's got to take this location, so it spends a fuel. It goes 1, 2. It's in combat with the Soviet force. What is it? It takes 2 ammo. It's the 6th army. They spend the 2 ammo. Oh, this is so close. I've got 1 token left. Oh, but it's armored. It would cost 1 more. So yes, we've just got that 1 more in there. I think I've got 1 extra go, haven't I? What can I do now? All I could do is potentially lay down 4 more trains. That's it. Again, we're right back at the final Soviet token. So I can move all of these supplies up to here now. The large Panzer Group take advantage of this. I think they're gonna take the free ammo, and they'll take 1 fuel. It is now the second action. They use 1 fuel, and they can move forward. 1, 2. They are at the city of Moscow. It is up to what is on this card now will determine whether we have been victorious or not. I've got 1 fuel and 4 ammo left. Here we go. And it is the 9th Army. They require 2 ammo, but because Moscow is defended, it is 3 ammo. And I have 4 ammo. I spend my ammo and take Moscow right in the very, very last moment of the game. That was quite something nerve-wracking right to the end, and to think that on the very, very last go. That was really, really good. I think hopefully I've got the rules down better. I think for a sort of a first play, that was really, really enjoyable. And as a single player solitaire experience, yeah, game has a lot to offer. And of course, then thinking how it was going to play with a second or a third player, the fight for the resources, the fight for the transportation, that's going to be a lot of fun. I like it. I like it a lot. So I hope you enjoyed watching tonight's Let's Play of 1941 Race to Moscow. Be sure to check out some of the channel's other content via the tabs here. And of course, click the subscribe button or the bell to be notified with all the latest content from the channel. But until next time, thanks for watching. Bye for now.